What you streaming?
Hey y'all.
Hey everybody.
Welcome to the What You Streamin' podcast. I'm Allie.
This is Katie.
And we are your hosts of this fantastic little podcast called What You Streamin'. Hello, and welcome to the What You Streamin' mini episode. I am Allie Coots, and I'll be taking you with me in this week's mini-sode. And man, do we have a fun mini episode for you today. I'll be sharing our first ever listener recommendation from our hotline. Woo woo! And, super pumped about that. I'm glad that someone has finally texted in with a recommendation. And I'll also be sharing that along with some 5 words or less reviews of Bridgerton from Twitter. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, that is what Katie and I talked about. We gave our opinions on Bridgerton. It was quite the fun episode, if I do say so myself. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed recording it and listening to it and editing it, and I still enjoy it, so I think that's something. It's quite funny. Highly recommend. You'll also want to stick around for the end of the episode because I will be sharing a blooper from the Bridgerton episode. So it's the prime example of Katie and I just being straight turds as we record, and I get a good chuckle from it. So therefore, I'm sharing it with you, and hopefully you will also get a good chuckle from it. But before we get into any of that, let's chat about next week's streaming content of choice. So Katie and I love a good, bad, campy horror film, and we love them even more when they are centered around a holiday, because that means we get to watch them around the holiday that is in focus. And I don't know if I wouldn't say that Krampus is like a good bad campy horror film, but it's one of our favorites to watch around Christmas. And we also just binge like a whole bunch of other Krampus focused films. And when Thanksgiving came around, we were like, what can we watch? And Katie pointed out that Thanksgiving was a film, and I had never heard of it, and you'll hear us talk about that a little bit more in the episode. And we watched Thanksgiving, and holy shit, was it a trip. It's a film, y'all. It's pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy it. It's got some amazing one-liners, and it's got some cringy one-liners, and I will say that if you are easily offended, it may not be a film that you will want to watch. But Thanksgiving is a 2009 film by director Jordan Downey, and it's about a homicidal turkey that kills a bunch of college kids that are on their Thanksgiving break. And it's as wild as it sounds. And now the film is, yeah, it's wild. It's it's insane. So when we started this podcast, I couldn't help but want to talk about Thanksgiving. And so I reached out to the director of that, Jordan Downey, to see if he would at all be interested in being on the podcast to discuss Thanksgiving, but then to also talk about his other film, The Headhunter, which came out in 2018, because Katie and I also watched that. We did a little digging into who exactly Jordan Downey was and what other movies he had made, and we were like, holy shit, there's this Headhunter film, and it seems to get like really good reviews. So we were like, this Jordan guy went from doing his own turkey puppeteering to this like really wonderful, dark, minimalist horror film that's about a medieval warrior's kind of gruesome collection of heads, like monster heads that he's killed, and you follow him on his journey as he avenges his daughter's deaths. And they're 2 completely different films shot in completely different ways. And so we wanted to talk with Jordan about kind of his journey from making Thanksgiving, which he made in film school, to The Headhunter, which at the time that we recorded, it had a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's got a 94% as of today. So it's still doing very well in like the reviews and everything, and it's a really well made, kind of beautifully shot movie. We definitely wanted to talk to him about what his filmmaking journey has been like. So we were super, super stoked when he said that he would happily be on the podcast. You will be able to listen to Katie and I talk to Jordan about his journey with Thanksgiving and the sequel to The Headhunter. And yeah, if you want to watch either of those before the episode comes out next week, you can stream you can stream The Headhunter on Sling, Amazon Prime, Vudu, Apple TV, etc. You can essentially find it, on every video on demand site. And you can find Thanksgiving on Amazon. You may be able to find it on YouTube, but it's out there. You just gotta search for it. And again, I will say, if you do get like easily offended, Thanksgiving may not be your cup of tea. So just keep that in mind. Definitely like maybe watch a trailer or something and decide if that's what you want to watch or not. But I cannot recommend The Headhunter enough. It's quite enjoyable. All right, moving on to our first ever listener recommendation from the hotline. Woo, 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 woo. All right. So we had a caller recommend a BL, which stands for Boy Love. And it's a short term for gay shows, or it's commonly used in like anime, but it's also a popular genre in like Thailand and in Japan and also in South Korea. So there are a lot of BL shows out there. You just have to find them. And I personally watch a lot of BL. It's a genre that I very much enjoy. There are, as with everything, like good ones and bad ones, but I was super stoked that we got a BL recommendation in the inbox. And it's one that I actually have on my watch list that I have not gotten to yet. So this kind of just solidified that I needed to get my shit together and watch this BL. And the recommendation is for the BL Light on Me. And it's a South Korean BL, which thankfully they're starting to do more. South Korea, there's not a whole lot of BL from South Korea out there, but there's definitely been an uptick in that genre. But there are a lot of Thai BLs out there, and Taiwanese BLs, and Japanese ones as well, which I would personally recommend Cherry Magic as a Japanese BL. It's one of the cutest, most adorable shows I've ever watched. I cannot recommend that one enough. But anyways, yeah, I could totally do a show just on BLs. But so Light on Me was recommended, and it is about an 18-year-old loner young man that is trying to make friends at his school. He's decided that he, no longer wants to be a loner, and he wants to kind of like put himself out there. So he joins the school council, and, things start to heat up when he meets the vice president and the president of the school council. And of course, there's always, there's romance, but then someone or something gets between them, and you never know how it's going to end up. I have spent many hours crying watching BLs, so brace yourselves. I have no idea how this one ends, but sometimes it is absolutely heartbreaking. So our listener also, I asked them to include a 5 words or less review for Light on Me, and they said that it is a lesson in awkward love, which is adorable. So I cannot wait to watch it. You can watch Light on Me on Viki, which, if you're not on Viki, I really need to know what the hell are you doing with your life, because it's both a blessing and a curse, because it has it has all of the Asian content. Just, oh my god, they've got Korean shows, they've got Japanese shows, they've got mainland China shows. I mean, just everything. And if you are into BLs, it's a great place to find them. Drama Cool is another great place. YouTube, a lot of BLs are on YouTube. Yeah, again, you just kind of have to search for them. But yeah, I need to get my shit together and watch Light on Me, because who doesn't love a lesson in awkward love? If you have watched Light on Me, or any of the shows and movies that we've talked about so far on the show, shoot us a 5 words or less review and a recommendation to our hotline 252-419-6004. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Now, on to our Twitter fam. We asked for their thoughts on Bridgerton and got a few 5 words or less reviews, I'll say loosely. One was binge-worthy, and the other was Roger Jean Page is so hot. And, I mean, do we need to say more? Feel like that sums up Bridgerton almost perfectly. So there you go. Thanks. Shout out to the Twitter fam. I appreciate you. And that's it. That's it for this week's mini-sode. Be sure to join us next week as we speak with Jordan Downey about Thanksgiving and the Headhunter. Follow us on Twitter at FunFriendsPod1, on Instagram at FunWithFriendsPodcast, and send us your recommendations. 252-419-6004. And now, if you stuck in there for this long, here is a blooper from last week's episode. Happy streaming.
I feel so weird. I know. Here we go. Okay, let's get into it. On this week's episode of What You Streamin'?
What you streaming?
I got excited, sorry.
Jump the gun.
On this week's episode of What You Streamin', Katie and I are talking about the Netflix hit television series, Bridgerton.